All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching this interview. We're glad to have our district attorney, Jeff Rosen, with us here today. Thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate to join us today for the interview.
Very happy to be with you.
Thank you. So let's start from some very basic questions that a lot of people are interested because as a immigrant community, a lot of people are not quite familiar with the structure of the U.S. politics and organization. Do you mind to just briefly introduce what district attorney will do as an organization and how does that help our community here in the U.S.?
Sure, it's a great question. The district attorney is the chief law enforcement officer for a certain geographic area. And in the United States, it's usually done by counties. So people have heard of cities and states, and a county is kind of in between a city and a state in terms of the size of a county. So the district attorney is the chief law enforcement officer for a county, in my case, Santa Clara County. And what that means is in the United States, the police can arrest someone, but only the prosecutor's office can file charges against someone. So usually what happens is the police will bring reports to the DA's office, videos, photographs, witness statements, cell phone videos, and they will say, we think that there are some criminal charges that you should file, district attorney's office, and prosecutors in my office make a decision as to whether or not to file criminal charges. If we do file criminal charges, then we represent the people, the public, in all of those court proceedings from filing the initial charge all the way through the trial and then the sentencing. So on a day-to-day basis, we work very closely with the police department. At a little bit of a broader level, the district attorney is responsible for public safety in a very broad sense. So while a lot of what we do here is focused on arresting and prosecuting criminals, we also do a lot of things to improve the quality of life in our community, reducing graffiti, juvenile crime, blight, like abandoned buildings. So we do a lot of things to prevent crime in the first place. And then the other thing that's a little bit unusual about our system of justice in the United States is, one, the district attorney is elected. In most parts of the world, the chief prosecutor is appointed, usually by the ruling party in the government. Here it's elected, so that's a little bit different. And the idea is to give the local community control, a say, a voice in how the laws are enforced. Because while I said earlier that the police bring police reports over, we decide whether to file criminal charges, the law might be applied a little bit differently in Santa Clara County than it is in Iowa, than it is in Florida, than it is in New York, depending on what people in the local community want. So having the district attorney be elected is a way of ensuring that the community has a voice. And then just the second thing that I'm sure many of your residents also recognize is we decide whether someone is guilty or innocent of a crime through a trial by jury as opposed to a trial by judge. And again, the jury is drawn from people that live in the community. They have to reach a unanimous decision. And again, it's a manifestation of our belief that ordinary people can make very important decisions. And the fact that the convictions after a jury trial come from people in our community gives the convictions more weight, more legitimacy. It's not a judge that decided this, it's just, it's your neighbors who decided.
Awesome. Do you mind to just share an example, maybe one of your most proud of case that you have done as a district attorney to showcase what exactly district attorney will do to the community?
Sure. All right, I'll give you two examples. One from the very beginning of my career as a DA, and then one towards the much later in my career as a DA. So when I started in the DA's office, you begin by prosecuting lower level crimes, what we call misdemeanor crimes.
Yeah.
And one of my first trials was an older woman, probably in her 70s, that was at a gas station pumping gas. And there was a young guy behind her that thought she was taking too long to pump the gas. And he started to yell at her and to scream at her. And she got nervous and she quickly finished pumping the gas. But she could hear him like approaching, like his feet stomping, approaching her car. She got in the driver's seat. She started to roll her windows up. You know, this was back in the 90s. So there was a crank that you roll the window up with. And as she's rolling the window up, he appeared right beside her window. And before she could get the window all the way up, he spit on her. And then he walked, gross. And then he walked to the front of her car and he pounded a big dent in the hood of her car.
Oh my God.
And so he was charged with battery for spitting on her and a kind of vandalism for damaging her car.
Yeah.
She was very nervous. She drove to the police station and she told the police officers what happened. The police officers went back to the gas station and the person that was working at the gas station said, oh yes, I took down the license plate number of that other person's car. The police went, they arrested that person, and we had a jury trial. The person didn't want to plead guilty. I remember talking to the victim in the case. She was very nervous about coming to court to testify. She said, will the man who spit on me be in court? Yes. That made her very nervous. She said, could I bring my husband to court with me so he could sit in the courtroom? Yes, of course. And she came in, she testified, she was very nervous, and ultimately the defendant was convicted. Yeah. And the feeling I had about this case was this woman could have been my mom or my aunt, and I wanted her to know that we cared about what happened to her, that it's not right for someone to spit on you.
For sure.
And we wanted to make sure the defendant was held accountable. I think he was 10 days in jail and then an anger management class, and he had to fix the dent in her car. But also, you know, I wanted the defendant to know, look, if you think this person is taking too long to pump gas, I got an idea for you. Why don't you help her?
Yeah, you can just go and help her, right?
Rather than yelling at her. And so it's funny that's not funny, but that's in terms of the seriousness of crimes that we deal with, that's not as serious as other crimes. And yet, you know that this woman told all of her friends what happened to her, and until the day she died, she remembered this incident. Like this is a very unusual thing to happen. So that was one of the first cases I tried. One of the last cases I tried was more serious, but I had the same feeling. There were two men that were interested in the same woman. And she chose one of the men.
Yeah.
And the other man didn't then just, look for other fish in the sea, which is an English expression, like there are other women out there.
Yeah.
He was obsessed with this woman, and he thought, well, what I'll do is I will kill the man that she chose. So he hired a hitman to kill this man. And the price that it cost to hire someone to come and kill this man was $9,500.
Only $9,500.
Not a lot of money. Not a lot of money. And it's $9,500. So what happened is the buyer, the one that wanted the killing done, said to the hitman, I'll give you $9,000. And the hitman said, I want $10,000. And they settled on $9,500. So they negotiated this. And the hitman drove up here from Southern California, and he succeeded. He shot and killed this man. It happened in Los Gatos in broad daylight. And he drove back to Southern California, but there was a lot of evidence that was left here. We used DNA and cell phones and computers, and we were able to figure out who did this. And that was one of the last cases I tried. I tried the buyer, the one that purchased the hit, the person that drove up here and did the killing, and then there was what we called a middleman. So the
Yeah.
buyer didn't know who would be a hitman. So he asked a friend of his if the friend knew a hitman, and the friend said, "Oh, sure, I know somebody." Which, if you asked me, I don't know someone who does these things. So that was the last case, and the man that was murdered, he had children, he had friends, he ran a restaurant in Los Gatos.
Wow.
And again, I felt like I wanted the family of the victims to know, how sorry we were for what had happened, and also to make sure that the punishment of the people that did this was appropriate. So in that first case with the spitting, it was maybe 10 days in jail for that.
Mm-hmm.
For murdering somebody, it's life in prison,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what happened in that case. But even though very different cases, one much more serious than the other, really I have the same intention. I want to help the victim. I want to hold the defendants responsible,
Yeah.
and I want to remind the community of what our values and laws are.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really amazing cases. Like, thanks for sharing. And that's remind me something you are pushing for. You are trying to do some reforms from a legal aspect. For example, diversion program for nonviolent offenders.
Right.
Like, those reforms originated from the cases you have to deal with? Like, how do you learn from other cases you have already done to the job you are going to do right now as a district attorney?
Sure. Well, I think that before I became the district attorney, I was a deputy district attorney in the office, trying cases as the ones we've talked about. And I did that for about 15 years. And I saw that that the right approach here is I would say, a balanced approach. So for a very violent and serious crime, that's prison for a long time.
Yeah.
For something less serious, okay, that's maybe a few days in jail or some kind of program to help the person not commit these crimes again. And one of the things that I learned was for low-level offenses, so think like maybe shoplifting, like taking, a pack of gum, or maybe you get into a fight with someone and you've never been in a fight before. For lower-level offenses, we could have a program where you apologize, you make restitution, you maybe take anger management classes or other kinds of classes, and if you complete those things, then we'll dismiss the charge. And we saw that for low-level offenses, we had a very good success rate, meaning often for someone who's never been arrested before, just the experience of being arrested, you're handcuffed, you're taken to the jail, you're fingerprinted, they take your photograph, and then you have to come to court. Just that experience for many low-level offenders kind of wakes them up.
Yeah, it's a really pretty bad experience for them.
It's not a good, and they're like, okay, I don't want to do this again. Yeah. And so that's why we did that for lower-level offenders. We're not trying to, our goal is not to put as many people in jail as possible. Our goal is to keep the community as safe as possible. And if we can keep the community safe without having to put someone in jail, we think that's a better solution. It's cheaper, it's more cost effective, and it's also more humane. Like, we want to hold people accountable. It's a little bit like, I don't know if this translates, it's Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Mm-hmm. So the porridge is too hot, the porridge is too cold, this is just right. Yeah. So not too much time in jail, not too little time, just the right amount of time. So, and the diversion programs have been pretty successful. We use them a lot for low-level drug cases as well, for people that are using drugs. Drugs are very, very bad, very hard to break an addiction to drugs, exactly. Very hard. And so we really push drug treatment as much as possible to keep someone from becoming a bad criminal because of the drugs.
Okay, so that reminds me something that we talk about a lot within our Asian community is that people think that in California, if you do theft under 950, as you will not be charged, like police will just leave it alone. People are actually talking about those things a lot.
Okay.
Like, what's your opinion on this?
I understand. So the law's been changed.
Mm-hmm.
So now the law is that if somebody steals something from a store and they do it more than once,
mm-hmm.
they can be charged with a felony instead
mm-hmm.
of a misdemeanor. If they steal a little bit from several stores,
mm-hmm.
we can add up the amount from each store and make it a felony as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the reason the law was changed in this way was because people felt that the law was too lenient, and they felt that people were getting away with theft. Like there was a name for this; they called it $0 shopping.
$0 shopping, yes.
And it was terrible. Here's what's so bad. I'll just, I think, articulate what is so bad about people stealing and not paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a store and someone comes in and steals a bunch of things and walks out and nothing happens,
mm-hmm.
you, as the honest citizen, feel a lot of things. Feel angry that this person stole something. Feel a little bit afraid, like, where is the law? Where is the police?
Exactly.
If somebody can just steal something, can somebody just walk up and punch me? Because there's no law here. And so I think that because of those legitimate feelings that people had, the law was changed to be tougher on organized retail theft.
Mm-hmm.
And the state legislature provided more money to the police and the prosecutors' offices specifically for organized retail theft. And so while I know that there are videos out there of examples of organized retail theft, those videos are old. So, I mean, the video lives forever, but the reality is that there's less organized retail theft today than there was last year, mm-hmm. than there was 2 or 3 years ago. So it's not zero, but there's less.
Great.
And part of that is the public, and the public sending a message to the police and to the DA that we don't want this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so the police are quite motivated to investigate these crimes, and we are also very motivated mm-hmm. to file charges.
Yeah, I think that's a great example we should share with the community, that we take feedback from the public and we improve from there. Because as an immigrant community, the trust between, let's say, legal department or DA office with the community is kind of hard to build from very beginning, because we come into a strange environment. We don't know who is working on what. So building that trust is kind of hard from the beginning. I think this probably will be a good case to showcase, hey, we are listening to everyone, we are improving. But just in general, like, what effort do you do as district attorney to build the trust with the local community here? I know we have a large immigrant community here.
Yes.
Like, can you give some a couple points like you are working on about that? Yeah.
Well, first, trust between the community and the police and the prosecutors is very important, because every crime that we solve, an important part of every crime that we solve is someone, a member of the public, tells the police, I heard something, I saw something. That's how almost every crime is solved. Yes, we have a lot of technology and we have a crime laboratory and we use a lot of methods to get evidence, but often in every case, it's somebody in the public trusts the police enough to say, I heard something, I saw something.
Yeah.
So that trust is something we're always working to build. And when we do right by the citizens, when we prosecute that case appropriately, they trust us more. Mm-hmm. Like if we prosecuted every case and everybody was sent to prison for 50 years, people may not trust us. They might think, it's bad what that person did, but I think they're going to send them away too long. And if the public thought that, oh, everyone's going to get a slap on the wrist, oh my gosh, he stole someone's car, but they're not even going to give them a day in jail. They're also not going to call the police.
Exactly.
So we have to try to strike the right balance. In terms of encouraging trust with the community, as you point out, we have a very diverse community in the Bay Area and in Santa Clara County. About 40% of the people that live in Santa Clara County were not born in the United States. It's one of the highest foreign-born populations of any county in the country. And many of those immigrants are from Asia and specifically from China, either from the mainland or from Hong Kong or Taiwan. And so they're coming from a different legal system, different cultural background. And so here are some of the efforts we make to reach out specifically to the Asian community. A number of years ago, a group of prosecutors in my office who are Asian wanted to form a group called NAPIPA. They wanted to form a group, National Asian Pacific Islander Prosecutor Association. And it was modeled a little bit after an organization called APAPA, which was Asian Pacific Islanders for Political Action. So this group of Asian American prosecutors in my office came to me and said, we'd like to form this group to be a liaison to the Asian American community, to encourage them to trust law enforcement, to encourage them to become police officers or become prosecutors or become judges. And they said to me, like, what do you think, Jeff? I said, I think this sounds like a great idea. So the first chapter was started here, and this was about 10 or 12 years ago. Today, there are 10 chapters of NAPIPA all over the United States.
Wow.
So there's one in this area, San Diego, Los Angeles, Chicago, Minneapolis, New York, all over the country. And there's thousands of people that are members of NAPIPA now. And some of the things that NAPIPA has done specifically for this office are working with Asian immigrant communities to encourage them to trust law enforcement around issues of domestic violence, specifically was a big issue, and encouraging Asian kids that are going to college or law school to become prosecutors, to be a part of the system. And in this way, our office looks more like the community that we represent here. And that also helps to build some trust. It's not that I think crime victims have to see a prosecutor or a police officer who looks exactly like them. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
But I think that it makes a difference when a victim comes to court, between the prosecutors there and the judges, there are Asian faces there. It's not all white, it's not all black, it's not all Hispanic, it's very mixed. And so I think that's helpful, but I think that the trust issue is essential. It really is, it's everything. And one of the things we talk about in the office is every interaction that you are having as a prosecutor with a member of the public, with a victim, with a witness, that interaction, you're either moving us towards more trust and more faith in our government or less trust and less faith. So everything you do is important.
Yeah.
And we feel very supported by the community here. Just one little fact, the San Jose Police Department has solved every murder case in San Jose over the last 3 years. Every single one.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it is. And they're a terrific police department, and the community trusts them. So the community tells them things that they hear or see, and it's a terrific police department. And last year, the prosecutors in the DA's office that prosecute murder cases, we won every single case. And so, I tell the police chief, great job, you arrested them. But as you know, the arrest is just the arrest. We then have to get the conviction in court, and we did. So,
awesome.
So we feel good about that.
Awesome. I think that's great examples. I think one important thing I want to talk about is what we have done during the COVID, there's
yeah.
Asian hate crimes happen, terrible things happen in Oakland, in San Francisco.
Yes.
Elder people get pushed on the street.
Yes.
I think to deal with the situation correctly would strongly build the trust with the immigrant community. Do you want to talk about that time period, like what you have done here in Santa Clara County to help the Asian community a little bit better?
Yeah. Yes. So beginning in 2020, like starting when we shut down, it was I think around March or April of 2020.
Yeah.
And within a few months of that, I started to hear about Asian Americans being targeted, being called names. You brought the China flu. Go back to China. Like, whether someone was Vietnamese or Korean or they
cannot tell the difference.
They can't tell the difference. Go back to China. And I started to hear more about these things. We have a number of Asian American prosecutors in the office. Some of their parents are older and live in San Francisco. And I would hear from the prosecutors here, my parents are afraid. They're scared to go to the store. People call them names. And so we got together and said, what can we do to try to make our community feel safer? So one of the first things that we did is we created a 1-minute public service announcement. And we took 6 or 7 prosecutors from our office of every ethnicity, white, black, Hispanic, Chinese, myself, Jewish, everyone. And very simple message that any kind of hate crime here or targeting someone because of what they look like, where they're from, what their religion is, sexual orientation, that we take that very seriously and we will punish people that commit these crimes very severely. And it was about 1 minute long, and some local television stations ran it for us. And the idea behind it was really threefold. Number one, we wanted victims to know that we cared. So if you're the victim of a hate crime, if somebody called you a name and punched you or threw a rock through your store and called you a slur, please call the police. We really care. This is not right. Because a lot of times victims of hate crimes, particularly when they are immigrants to our country, they feel ashamed. Oh, it's my fault this happened, or
just afraid, trying to get away.
Just afraid. It's just afraid. If I tell the police, maybe the person who did this will come after me again. So all kinds of fear. And honestly, a lot of times, hate crimes are reported to us not from the victim, but from a bystander, someone who saw it happening and called the police. So one, this message of the PSA was to victims, like, we care and we take it seriously. We want to help you. Second message was to would-be perpetrators, to people that are not nice. We want them to know we have no tolerance for this, that as bad as it is to just punch someone, it's even worse to call them a name and punch them. It hurts more because if you're Chinese, there's nothing you can do about that. Like, that's what you are.
You are who you are.
You are who you are, and you should be proud of that, right? And so to be hit because of that hurts more. And it also, a hate crime, it doesn't just affect that person who gets punched or spit on or pushed. And these are all things that happen in our county. It affects everyone in that ethnicity. We had a case in Mountain View. A Chinese American man was spit on. Okay, that happened in Mountain View. Chinese Americans all over the Bay Area heard about it very quickly. So we want to let victims and their community know we care. We want to let the criminals know we have no tolerance for this. And we want to remind everyone in our community what our values are as residents of this area, as people that live in America. We're all entitled to fair and respectful treatment under the law, all of us. That's the Declaration of Independence, that's our Constitution, and we're going to make sure that applies to everyone. So that was one of the things we did, was this public service announcement. Second thing is, every hate crime case that we had, and we had several that involved Asian Americans, we prosecuted very severely. And one of the things about prosecuting a hate crime is that when you convict the person, the judge is encouraged, it's very unusual in our law, the judge is encouraged to not only punish the person, but to require them to do something to learn about the culture of the person they victimized. Oh. So one of the things it specifically says in the law, so if you attacked a Chinese American, in addition to saying we're going to send you to jail for so many days or so many weeks, one of the things that we will ask the judge is to require the defendant to do community service at AKI, is a community service organization in our area, or perhaps the Society of Heart's Delight, like to do some community service or take classes to learn about the contributions of those people, of Chinese Americans to American society. Wow. So that's the second thing that we required. And then third, there were a number of rallies and town halls and marches around protesting against Asian hate. And prosecutors in our office, and myself included, participated in many of those. And so I think that like from 2020 to 2022, 2023, we had more hate crimes against Asian Americans. And since then, it's come down. It's not zero, but it's come down some. I think that because it sometimes takes cases a long time to work through the criminal justice system, like I know in San Francisco recently, there was a trial about an Asian American man that was attacked. His name was, they called him Grandpa Rishi, who was attacked and killed 5 years ago. But the trial didn't take place until recently. And so that brings up a lot of these feelings that people have around this. So I have no tolerance for these kinds of crimes, and I have a lot of empathy for the victims. I mean, like
they did nothing. They just walk on the street.
They're just on the street. Yeah. You know, like it's bad enough that whatever, you're just walking on the street and for some reason somebody pushes you or punches you. That's bad enough, but to do it because you're Chinese or you're Korean or you're Jewish, that's really bad. And in such a diverse society as we have here, that's a recipe for disaster if people are going to attack each other for looking different, because everybody looks different here. Like, it's a pretty diverse place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. This is very inspiring examples to demonstrate how your office care about the Asian community and to make sure everybody get treated equally here. That's really, really great. Thank you for sharing that. I also want to talk about one of the most recent trend that happens to everyone, not just in Asian community, is the phishing and spamming calls. Like even myself, I'm getting multiple spam calls every day. For me, because I know those information is probably I just don't pick it up. But for a lot of, for example, elder people, they don't know much about what's going on. They may very easily become a victim of a phishing call or spam. What is happening right now? We're doing as a DA, try to help the community to be less vulnerable to this type of crime, or just in general, what are we trying to deal with this situation?
So yes, it's phishing spelled PH, right, as opposed to phishing.
No, not that.
Like, but
it's similar.
But it's the same idea. Exactly. It's the same idea. You're trying to hook someone, and so there are different variations of this kind of scam. One of them that some of your listeners or viewers may have heard of is called pig butchering, and it comes from a Chinese expression of like fattening up the pig before slaughtering it and then eating the pig. And the idea here is that the person, the victim, is the pig, that the criminal is fattening up by stealing, by getting the victim to put more and more money into crypto, into investments, and then the criminal grabs the money and disappears. So some of these scams where people are you getting text messages every day. I get the same every day. Hey, want to have lunch?
Exactly.
Hey, aren't we meeting later today? Like all these random things. So there's a lot of different criminal organizations that are behind this. But some of the main ones are in an area of Thailand and Cambodia, which is not really run by the governments, but is run by organized crime, organized criminals. And there are hundreds of people that are basically being trafficked in these large warehouses and forced to make call after call, text after text. And so while the percentage of victims responding is very low, if you are sending out millions and millions of text messages every day, you only need a very small percentage of victims to respond to make it worthwhile for the criminal. So a few things. Our goal is to prevent someone from becoming a victim in the first place. So the way we try to prevent a person from becoming a victim, we go to community centers, we go to senior centers, because seniors are a huge target of these criminals. And they're a target because as you get older, you're not quite as sharp as you used to be. That's true for everyone. Also, seniors tend to have more money and assets than younger people. Seniors may have retirement savings, they may have a house. So that combination of being older and maybe not as sharp as you used to be and having some money is a magnet for the criminals. And so one of the things is we go quite often to senior centers, of all kinds, Asian senior centers, white senior centers, whatever, all different senior centers. We have prosecutors that speak every language in our community. So if people want a presentation in Mandarin or Vietnamese, we're happy to do that. So one, we try to prevent people from being victims in the first place. Second thing we try to do is, if you gave some of your money, $10,000, $5,000, $100,000, and then you realized, wait a minute, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, you have to call the DA's office, the police, or the DA's office right away. Because here, what happens sometimes is, let's say you gave away $10,000, and then you were talking to your son or your daughter-in-law, and they said, Dad, this was a scam. You shouldn't have done this. And the older person often will not call the police because they are ashamed. They're ashamed. This is my fault. I'm stupid. I shouldn't have done this. Okay. They are dealing with professional criminals who are making millions of dollars a year. And so it's not like a fair fight between you and the criminals, but there's a sense of shame. Or I was a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a PhD, how could I have fallen to this scam? So, and the longer that someone waits to contact the police, the less chance there is to recover the money. The money moves out of the United States in 2 to 3 days. So if we find out within 2 to 3 days, we have a chance to stop the money from leaving, because it's very difficult for us to get the money back once it's left the United States. But there are only so many exits for the money from the United States. And we have good relations with the different banks and institutions. So we need to know within the first 2 to 3 days. So that's part of what we talk to people about. And we also kind of tell them what the latest scams are, because they change. Sometimes they're what we call romance scams. Other times they're investment scams. And honestly, for your viewers of Society of Heart's Delight, because a lot of the criminal organizations are Asian, they are targeting Asians in this country.
Sometimes they just text in Chinese.
Yes, yes, exactly. They're targeting Chinese Americans, and again, like if you here put it all together, so they'll send it if they send the text in Chinese. There's a sense of like trust because I'm getting something in Chinese. But so combine the fact that that Asian Americans in our county are doing well, financially, doctors and businessmen and so on like it are starting companies. They're doing well, so they have some money, and they're older, and they're Chinese. So it's a recipe for, this is who I'm going to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why this has been an effort of us trying to prevent these things from happening. And the other thing I would just tell your viewers is, even if we can't bring a criminal case because the criminals are in Thailand or Cambodia, we will still try to get your money back. See, we don't say, if we can't file a case, forget it. No. We will try to get your money back. And we've been, pretty successful. But again, the sooner you let us know, the better.
Awesome. That's great to know. That's great information we should share with our community as well. I think that's the last question. Is there anything you want to share with our Asian community, with our views?
I think number one, our county has been enriched by Asian American immigrants, specifically our county. Specifically, I mean, the history of California, starting in the 1850s with Chinese immigrants coming here during the gold rush, is a very up and down, checkered history of the treatment of Chinese that came here. More recently, particularly in this county, in Santa Clara County, beginning in the 1960s and 1970s, we had a big influx of people in the high-tech industry from Taiwan, from some of the leading universities that came here. And it's been an enormous benefit to everyone who lives here. So number one, it's the contributions have been immense. Number two, I think that the concerns that Asian Americans have, Chinese Americans have when it comes to crime are pretty similar to what everyone's interests are. So everyone is concerned about smash and grab robberies and wants to make sure that we crack down on those, and we do. And everyone wants to feel that if I call the police and report a crime, they will take it seriously and do the right and appropriate thing. And so, the fact that our office has as many Asian American prosecutors as we have is really a testament to the immigrants coming here, and some became doctors, and some became business people, and some became lawyers. And then, I think that initially, after becoming a lawyer, the thought wasn't necessarily perhaps to be a prosecutor, it was maybe to be a business lawyer, okay? I felt kind of the same thing in my family. They wanted me to be a business lawyer. But then, you learn, and we do outreach, like this is a really terrific profession and a way to serve the community and to make it better. So, I want to wish all of your viewers a Happy New Year. I know that it's not just the horse, but it's the fire horse. It's like everything about the horse, even more, even stronger. And I also just feel that we are not at the peak of the hate directed towards Asians as we were 3 or 4 years ago. I think that it's gotten better. And part of why it's gotten better is I think that the Asian American community has mobilized, and they've stood up for themselves, and they've elected people that are going to enforce the law, and prosecutors that weren't going to enforce the law, they got those people out of office. So, they started to advocate for themselves, and in advocating for themselves, they really were advocating for a lot of people in the community because, many people felt that things had gotten too lenient. And so we're moving towards a more balanced approach.
Awesome. Awesome. Really appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you
got
so
it.
much
Thank
for
you.
sharing today.
A pleasure.
It's a great
So,
conversation. I really
yeah.
appreciate it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.